It's impossible for me to write a script or even organise what I would like to record while I'm still alive. This is because the amount of material is so vast that even the selection of which is most important could be an infinitely long task, and I would never get round to selecting anything. I can spend weeks ruminating how to explain quickly, in a way that won't lose your interest, how I have been harassed and falsely incriminated and robbed by corrupt police over 12 years, repeatedly. You see, how could I explain that to you in a way that would get you willing to support me to go and see about putting that right? There are people in positions of influence who would rather it was not put right, who would rather it was not ever known about. So what? That I just have to accept that tragic injustice, that all that I earned, all that I owned, all that I made has been stolen from me while I'm still alive. You see, I'm afraid to go back to Glastonbury in a condition of poor health to attempt to retrieve my valuable possessions, because I may be attacked out of the blue from behind by numerous people acting on a plausible rumour that I would be a paedophile. One of these people who is so disgusting that they should be killed before you even discuss with them what they've done wrong. So, I'm not up for such a Clint Eastwood scene. I'm 62 years old. I'm very, very tired and a mill. That kind of justice would only be possible with holding the hand of someone who is not afraid of anything. Or someone is willing to keep the video camera running on me while I sort things for myself without any fear of what will be said afterwards about what was done. You know, will you give me my stuff, please? No, I am going to squeeze your nuts until they pop unless you tell me where my stuff is. Pop. Well, I did tell you. I'm a dying man, but I would like to see my own property before I leave. I want to see that certain things get into the hands of my son. Including a book that I wrote for him, which took about 4 months in prison, and it was the writing of that book which kept me going and got me out again. Yeah, is that the other one? Pop, right. Keep the video running. Right, I tell you, I'm a dying man. I want to see my stuff to make sure it gets to my son. I don't think I'm inflicting upon you any greater pain than you have already caused me, Toby. I will now apply pressure to something else until it pops. It's only one way out. Right, well, I don't think I could deal with that, you know, and the police officers, etc., unless I had a friend holding the video camera, which is basically holding my hand, is basically saying the truth will come out. Don't think I'm going to get one of them, so then I have to just accept the tragedy, the horror of it, you know. My son will never know the truth. Right. Well, I have been smoking too much tobacco. Yeah, I've been using this Wikipedia. I do accept some responsibility for helping it happen, because let's face it, in the 80s, my brother and I were two wacky people that were steaming around in the fast lane, all through society, around the globe, smoking marijuana and exercising some influence on the development of the future. Yeah, so we developed video camera technology. Yeah, it became very desirable to have your own video camera and to learn how to edit. Most people have got one in their phone now. Mobile phone, computers, the internet. Yeah, well, we've got it to that point. And 2004, when Mum finally allowed me to get onto the internet, and any really honest researcher would discover that my brother and I, like Romulus and Remus, Mother had a large part to play in the development of a strong and rebellious, courageous adventure. Yeah, Mum made us what we are, whatever that is. But when I got on the internet, I continued with my policy of being fully honest with the youngest audience that I could reach. For obvious reasons, age tends to be increased ignorance in most people. If you don't see it when they're young, they're less and less likely to see the truth as they get older. Older people are more inclined to sit in a situation thinking, I wish I could, or I think I should, oh, I can't, I wish I could, and then go away and leave behind the one thing that could make the rest of their life much, much happier than anything they've ever known so far. Older people can do that every day, which means I end up feeling like a man walking around with a bag of treasure in his hands, saying help yourself, and people running the other way. Sad. Anyway, I demonstrated an example immediately on the internet, this internet, of communicating honestly and courageously what I believe to be true. I always considered I was speaking to my best friend, if not myself, and I was prepared for that best friend to assume numbers of millions. Yeah, because if I'm honest, there's nothing you're going to find out later that's going to be superior in value or truth than what I tell you myself. Yeah, because I grew up in a relationship with my brother of sharing everything, the truth. Only physical details of sexual activity we didn't share. I knew of people that he had sexual activity with, but I didn't know what that activity was or observe it, and vice versa. See? Anyway, that led to lots of people going, oh yeah, let's talk about 9/11, let's talk about marijuana, let's talk about government corruption, Illuminati, New World Order. And then it led to, let's get Alex Jones, and he can just come so extreme that people will just say, it's all a lot of baloney. You know it, Alec. Nah, if you were exposing the real truths, like you would, bang, you'd be gone, mate. Yeah, like me. There's more truth in my videos than there is in Alex Jones. There is conspiracy, there is evil, there is corruption. But it's not from other planets. Yeah. The Queen is a reptile. Anyway, Wikipedia, that is one of the greatest developments of the human race. I knew that as soon as I saw it. Started contributing to it. Yeah, Wikipedia is a place to publish the dirty linen, the dirty laundry of history. No doubt, because of the way history was lived. Say there was a period in this country where the power passed backwards and forwards between two factions, the House of Lancaster and the House of York, or the Protestant religion and the Catholic religion. Well, each time one lot actually wins and ends that war, they of course would destroy all evidence of their own crimes, publish their own account of what had happened, until you get up to probably the 1800s or 1700s, where people, historians are divided about what actually happened. Well, history is full of disgusting crimes, atrocities, tragedies, evil and corruption beyond imagination. History. That a man can put the title Prince, Duke, Earl or King before his name does not say that he was a good man or an intelligent man or an honest man. It means he ultimately prevailed in a world of brutal, competitive inhumanity, greed. But Right Honourable might be appended to his name because of his level in the hierarchy. And think how much evil you would have to do to rise up in such a corrupt hierarchy. It is similar to what are the chances of getting a politician into Parliament who is willing to be absolutely honest about his own opinions and experiences on all subjects, without restriction. I say you've got 2 other wives, Mr. So-and-so. Yes, I have. This is my philosophy, and I stick with it, and I can explain it. That I could deal with as a politician. But have you got 2 other wives, Mr. What's it? I'm gonna get a flaming grenade through your bedroom window, mate. That's the end of the debate. Professor Kelly was found in the woods. It seemed he was suicidal. No. Yeah, so history's been mucked about with, but even so, enough genuine records. Oh, but then again, man, somebody tried to sell Hitler's diaries in the 1990s. You know what I mean? There's actual handwritten books claiming to be by Hitler. Well, man, if you can falsify that, or if you can falsify Dead Sea Scrolls, Who knows what history was? However, even so, the details that are now emerging on Wikipedia, they allow you to give yourself a good education as to what has happened. I realise I have the luxury of 24/7 free time to go in any direction I like. And as you develop your intellect and your education and build a sort of framework in your head to fit in the pieces of the jigsaw of history, the more you do, the easier it gets, you know. And one night I can go on the internet and suck up an incredible amount of information onto the structure I already know. Like William the Conqueror comes into this country, comes along and says, this Bristol controls the whole southwest. Build a castle here on that river there, it's yours. And an abbey, yeah, you go, God go well with you. And then people went into business inside the walls of that castle, built boats, began trading with other countries like Ireland, Wales, France, Spain. Began to get rich, as you do when you trade and exchange valuables. Yeah, because you make a little profit on every transaction. Yeah, so the guys in the Bristol Castle are getting wealthy, and they're even by the time of William the Conqueror, they were selling peasant stock to Ireland as slaves. That is, you know, some wealthy nobleman in Ireland wants more slaves. He buys them from Bristol, yeah. So they were doing slavery here long before ever tobacco. Yeah, but hey, well, you've got all that. You've got the Protestants and Catholics, or Crown and government, fighting for control of the country, while the merchants of Bristol and London and Liverpool are busy transplanting Africans into Jamaica and Virginia to grow sugar and tobacco, making fabulous profits, building palaces on both sides of the Atlantic. Here in Britain, palaces in Bristol. You know, this is my palace. I have 8 boats. We moved 4,000 slaves in the last few years. We are loaded. And then the geezer with the slaves over in America has a huge palace. But everywhere there is competition. There are fights for control of these palaces and castles. There are factions. There is a war of genocide against the Native American savages. Yeah, Native Americans were considered subhuman animals to be exterminated, with a propaganda campaign that was unverified that they attacked men, women and children without reason, rape and plunder. Whereas history seems to record that the white man eliminated millions of these savages, raped their wives, destroyed their property, took their land. Yeah. Anyway, as I say, it is absolutely fascinating. The fact, and that is what I wanted to see when I got into marijuana again in 1986. I already had years of education that led me to assume a world view, you know. Where is this world heading? What is my part in it? Well, such is the kind of head that was on the characters who made history. I went to Hong Kong. I had been partially educated by the novels of James Clavell, Noble House and Taipan, and another one perhaps, about the history of Hong Kong, which is the history of trading with China, the Opium Wars, the beginning of the world trade in opium and heroin, using the British Army to subjugate other countries into different forms of slavery and addiction. Yeah, and I saw that back in the 1980s, and I thought, God, anybody that smoked dope and kept pulling on the string, asking, why was that, and why was that, and why was that? You know, back from 1760, the start of the Industrial Revolution onwards, if you could get a bunch of money by any means possible, and after about 1805 or something like that, you could get money from the bank. You could go to the bank and say, give me £1 million, I'll give you back £1,200,000 over a period of years. Get the money, build boats, build factories, move hundreds of peasants out of the farming countryside into housing round your factories, mass produce items, sell them internationally, make fabulous fortune, which means you can pay back your investment, and then you've got money to invest in other schemes presented by other people, and then you've also got a non-stop profit machine. You know, you make railway engines, you just keep making railway engines. The world had no railway system. Every country nearly ended up having a railway line and railway engines. So if you made railway engines, it's an infinite business, right? Very few of these great emperors were actually controlled by moral responsibility to the whole community. They considered themselves a godly, aristocratic set above the others. Mr. Rothschild's toenail clippings were worth more than 10 of his employees. So it's actually been an insane, hellish jungle for hundreds of years. Now, it's interesting how some people seem to coast above it or outside it, enjoying it. Also, that some people within this system that used to go like clockwork, Swiss clocks, you just got your position, you knew it, right? Which is, I am an understairs maid. Twice a day I go up the stairs and I do these activities and keep out of the way of everybody, don't touch anything except what I've told to touch, and come back downstairs. But on this one night of the week, we all go to this meeting in the church hall where we read poems or embroider lace, or one way or other we have an exciting social life that gives us intellectual and emotional and comradely satisfaction. The Girl Guides. Yeah, right. So there have always been opportunities for people in a clockwork system to have some entertainment or enhancement. This is a crisis that I would like to draw to the attention of the people alive today. In my lifetime, most of the opportunities for social life and development of social skills, and indeed the meeting of people with whom to fall in love or be married or even have sex with, right? The opportunities have been decreasing in a culture that values using the motor car as much as possible, putting your foot on the planet as little as you need to. That culture is dying. I mean, that is reducing the interaction between human beings to whizzing past them in your little capsule. And you don't realise how vulnerable you are. You know, you're going right past, whizzing by there, man, wife, and 2.4 kids in the back going, iPad, laptop, it's my shot. And not even noticing what's outside the window anymore. One tiny little tragedy like the death of mummy or daddy, or the whole car going bouncity, 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 crunch, or indeed daddy losing his job, or, you know, they're not connected to anybody else. There's nothing to hold them up if they start sinking. It's a wrong move, you know. Even 10 years ago, if you went into the centre of an urban scene, usually be a park or square with seating for old people of the male and female persuasion. So you get old people, granny and grandpa's age, sitting there just watching the young people going about their lives. And they are part of the younger people's lives, because every young person has come from someone who is now old, right? When I was young, it was like a tree, you know, branches were connected to each other. You met your relatives, you met your distant relatives. Old ladies cannot sit in public places. The seat furniture, right, is vanished. Once upon a time, and I'm not kidding, when I was a kid, you could go here in Bristol, you could, on a Sunday, you might take a walk up the hill to see Clifton and see the view from the top of Clifton down. When you had walked up the hill, there was a public fountain with clear, pure drinking water. It was so exciting as a child to go and stand in a long queue of similarly excited human beings, of young and old, to wait till it was your turn to take this little metal cup on a chain and hold it under the spout of the well and fill it up with clear, pure drinking water. That was the social life then, because after you've had a little drink of water in the sunshine, you might go over there to walk through the flower beds and smell how different colours have different smells and shapes, and go to the fountains and see the water splashing over the statues, look at the goldfish, spot different kinds of colourful birds, which England was full of, play on swings and chutes and roundabouts, which are all the more fun when you have to wait in a queue, because everybody is on things. They're packed. When you want to go up the chute, it takes you a long queue to get up there. That's all very exciting. I wouldn't have had the life I've had if I hadn't had these exciting experiences. You know, when I was 4 or 5 on holiday, I had an argument with another boy at the top of the chute, and he pushed me out of the box, you know, sunk, and then I had to get up and decide whether to cry or be aggressive, so I was aggressive. Right, and then the outcome of that made me what I am today. You know, where I decided next time I will take action before he actually pushes me out of the box. You know, when you see somebody's going to be aggressive, get out of the way. Yeah, and modern kids don't have these. Right, well, okay, let's open it up a little bit more. I was a bright kid, I did very well at school. However, you didn't have domestic entertainment indoors. There was only one television set for the whole family, and it only rarely catered to the younger people. And you didn't have anything in your own room, so you went outdoors and you played in the garden, the yard, the street, the park, and that meant you're encountering hundreds of thousands of other people, older and younger, who just appear out of the blue with their own particular carry-on. Where'd ye come fae, you wee bastard? Empty your pockets. What have you got in your pockets, giz it? That, when you're only 3 years old, about a big boy taking your money out your pocket and then headbutting you, that makes you what you are after that. Right now, man, we had to go to school and come home every day by ourselves. In this case, it meant going through a housing estate, going over a football field in rough grass, through a woods, up a hill in the woods, along the side of a stream, in all kinds of weather, up a track, and school, right? Every day. You know. Yes, we met odd characters occasionally, you know, who are the horrible beasts that everybody seems to be afraid of. You were warned about them, and you could see by the mad look in some guys' eyes that you didn't want to talk to them, you know. And apart from that, my brother and I were taught to look after each other. That is, don't let him get into anything that's not good for him. Yeah, but we did that every day. Now, most kids these days, I bet you, if you took them up to woods and put them in the middle of the woods, in the school uniform, yeah, so I guess either my kind of human being is going to get wiped out, and you're going to be left by people who wither and die as soon as you take them out of the motor car, you know. Get out, this relationship is over. Oh, I'll just sit down on the pavement and die, because I don't know anything else. I don't know how to walk. I don't know how to take enjoyment out of looking at the view, the changing of the clouds, the colour of the sky, the wing of the bird on the wing. You know, pleasure has got a price tag on it. You know, this woman that has to keep going back to the off licence for more alcohol so that she can stay in a state of a mind which allows her to have sex with strangers so that she can afford more of the alcohol or the crack or the heroin or whatever it is she's doing it for. You know what I mean. That's pathetic, man. You know what I mean? It is really pathetic. Because in the world I came from, girls older than me, when I was, you know, knee high to a grasshopper, older girls would sometimes play this game of show me yours and I'll show you mine. Because I remember girls climbing up on scaffolding so that it was easy to see up her skirt. That's not going to happen today, is it? What is actually happening? What has been happening in the last 10 years? Only a younger person could tell me. Are the younger generation addicted to pornography, or are they just having sex? Well, we certainly haven't had the solution applied to my generation. I don't know what you're doing. There's nowhere to meet somebody that you would trust to take home on the basis of that meeting. Especially when you've got so much experience of having trusted people only to find out this or that later. I used to have 2 rings. Yeah. So I reckon that, well, considering my mission on marijuana, what culture is currently lacking is uh, what we had 20 years ago. 20 years ago, if say you were in Oxford, you could go down Iffley Road, Cowley Road, and there was a Rasta restaurant, but it was decorated like it was in Jamaica. You're walking through palm trees to get to uh, sofas and armchairs around an open fireplace, and there's a dreadlock sitting there smiling, skinning up joints, chucking logs on the fire, while his wife is making Jamaican food dishes. Well, man, you could have the whole family in there. There wasn't any alcohol that I can remember, and well, smoking marijuana and on the good music, and that was it. Kingdom of Heaven. There's nowhere now you could take people of all ages just to have a good time together, just basically enjoying communion, being together, with the added benefit of marijuana to open up all the chakras and allow you to enjoy it so much more. Yeah, and you know, in the 90s, if you went to one of my parties, there wasn't heavy alcohol. Some people did it, but most people were using marijuana. Increased conversation, increased comradeship and affection, communication, pleasure. There is a pleasure just in being in the presence of other friendly human beings that produces chemicals that make you feel good. This sort of community joy experienced in spiritualist churches, you know, hallelujah, hallelujah, let's all have a one being experience together. Jah. Well, the bad men have deviously eradicated that from society, like somebody with clippers going round clipping down all the marijuana plants and encouraging the weeds, you know, because a good gardener would have been going round cutting out all the weeds and encouraging the marijuana, but the government and the bully boys have hit the weed, so that if you go to a party now, the excitement is either in drinking yourself to extinction, using what they call cocaine until your hands speak or stand up straight. That is completely missing it. But the young people have got no alternative. They haven't seen anything else like the parties I did in the 90s. I videoed a lot of it, but then it got to a point in the late 90s where the use of a video camera would spoil what I was experiencing. Like, for example, you had the Big Green Gathering 1998, go into the Pleasure Dome. Right, the Pleasure Dome is a little, it's like a great big tent, but it's got a little entrance tent, and a woman picks her head out through the flaps and says, hot showers, soap, shampoo, men and women, stay as long as you like, music, and you can hear music and whoops, whoop, whoop, and people whooping, and you go in, and there's a sort of entrance area where you start to adjust to the fact that they've all taken their clothes off, and then when you go in, it's a huge big barn, because there's piles of haystacks, and over there is a great big stage with showers on it. So you go up on stage under lights to have a shower, and over there is a couple of hippies throwing logs onto a fire to keep the water boiling, and there's bunches of hippies set around these straw bales jamming on guitars and bongos, and you know, flapping their thighs and all that. It was great. Now, where are you going to get that in modern community? because people had the experiences there that are still governing their lives. I mean, I know one young couple that live in Glastonbury. They were young then. They're still in the same hairstyles. You know what I mean? They just kept it like a picture. But it, right, you can't have a revolution that is being done by lots of very courageous and beautiful, artistic, community-spirited individuals that were smoking dope round about the millennium in my clique. Yeah, about they were becoming dependent on benefit, welfare, state handout to stay alive because the town had lost its industry. There was no job for the willing young person to support his artistic and social aspirations. 10 people competing for every waitress job. It was That's what started the revolution, because people on benefit can be controlled and located and supervised and infiltrated, and ultimately they, when you cut off their benefit, they're dead. So we couldn't do a revolution that way. So a revolution would need to be done by people who are self-supporting or have sufficient savings already to support themselves and maybe a few others in a camaraderie. Yeah, that's accumulated wealth. It'd be something like Russell Brand going, I don't do any more movies, I don't do any more gigs, but I've got all that money, I can hire 1,000 revolutionaries, man. We can have better software than Google. No. You see, younger people have got more optimism about, I know what we can do. Because older people have got this huge memory of, I already tried that, my son. I did that one. See, the coppers attacked me as a sex offender. They didn't attack me as a dope smoker. I was the loudest thing at any party. If anybody thought it was louder, I met it, and if it was louder, I left. Yeah. Yeah, so if a younger person's thinking of doing that, which is, I started off incredibly shy, and I had to learn social skills, first of all, to cover my fear, to cover my timidity. I got to Hong Kong, surrounded by millions of people that all look the same. A Chinese man took it and ran away. What did it look like? Him. Well, got the same colour eyes. And hair. Yeah. Yeah, go for it. Go for it. I believe in spontaneous combustion, because I could go to a party in the 1990s and meet hundreds of people that I've never seen before, but I just go in, go straight up to the speakers, smoke a joint, and rock my ass to the bass, and I get surrounded by lots of beautiful chicks with their hands above their heads, shaking their hips at me, and then I'm dancing manic. The other chaps, clever gentlemen that are on the same marijuana or LSD, are getting up and dancing with us, and we keep it up for hours if it's a good DJ that is dancing with it. And at the time, everybody present, this is the most exciting and happy experience I can remember. you know, because each time it would rise up to heights where it's infinite, so it's equally infinite. It's the last big party. And so life in these days, in the late 90s, consisted of party, do your next week, basking in the memories of the last party and looking forward to the next one and doing your job or studies, and your whole life is advancing great. And then you get to the next party and it's more exciting than you can remember the last one being. And well, it was easier for younger people to get matched off with sexual partners because dancing does lead to sex, if it's done right. Uh, but I could rarely find somebody that I was willing to mate with, you know, because of my excessive age. It was only when I met Heather, and she was only 9 years younger than me, that I felt it was safe to unleash the animal, and I did. But I see in retrospect, the more exciting experiences you have, the harder it is to get an exciting experience. You know, it's obvious. It's like heroin or cocaine or any addictive drug. You have to take an increasing amount to get the same effect, if any. And that's the same with super excitement. Now, where do you go? Oasis after Liam and Noel stop speaking to each other. What, are you going to start thinking about a solo career as a superstar on your own? Nah, there is no higher. It must be hard to get a kick in that position. Whereas, oh right, I'll give you this, right, say you're a younger person than me and you're saying, oh, I like the drift, you know, marijuana is the truth. You can see through all the bullshit of the 2000 years. You can see where humanity should go. We should have a culture that is based on pleasure for us all. That is, every human being is entitled to be happy to be alive, be free to choose what he eats, what he thinks, what he does, within reason that he doesn't hurt another. And, you know, I'm talking about hurt, not just, oh, you hurt me. A culture that's built on such things as dancing and social intercourse. When I was a kid, every age group, from infants up to elderly people, had at least one event in the week that was entirely oriented around them. You know, the old folks had the Darby and Joan Club, or the White Heather Club, where they all gather up in a big hall in my school, and they all have dinner together and a whole afternoon of entertainment. And even wheelchairs were pushed to it, you know. That was every week. And then they had visitors in their houses during the week. Younger people, for those who had lost their families or never had any. And then infants had parties. We had Pathfinders, Cubs, Life Boys, Boy Scouts, Boys Brigade, Youth Club, YMCA, swimming clubs, camping clubs, cinema. And cinema meant a building packed with people, all making a lot of noise, and most of them smoking. And that meant you could ask a girl in front of you, do you have a light? And you could then offer her a cigarette, and if she took it, you could jump over into her row and sit in the seat next to her. Some of them were pushing prams within a year, and these opportunities don't exist now. What are the young doing? Well, I see that breeding has gone down. There's definitely much fewer kids around, except for the Somalis. Alright, well, I think I'm gonna just pop a cork on it, you know. The dream I had last night just reminded me, when you get that revolutionary feeling of, we're going for it now. You see, like, I've got this place here in Bristol. I could easily make a revolution there. I could set a fire there that wouldn't be put out easily. I could get that place a reputation that you can go there any night of the week. There will be people playing music or listening to music, smoking dope, and partying in one way or another. I could get it like that. The reputation would go around the city and the country. Dope is, the joint is hot. Dope is being smoked socially by upwardly looking people together. Yeah, but we know that will come to a standoff. At some point, a bunch of uniforms, yellow jackets, with dogs and other implements will arrive and cordon us off and say this is to stop, and to make it stop forever we will select from you these people on whom we have compiled files over months or years. We will publicly make a big issue of it. The man whose license name is above the door, he will get very heavily treated to provide an example to license holders everywhere. And fearing this, when the police arrive, I would be inclined to say, right chaps, this is the revolution. You either stand with me on this or run away and live the rest of your lives in fear and shallows of regret and remorse. Right? Now listen, ladies and gentlemen of the police. We no longer accept your law or your entitlement to be here interrupting our activity. We are enjoying ourselves here. We agree this almost unanimously as a community of our own free will. We are happy with what each other is doing here. None of us has a problem. Your law does not prevail here. Please take it away and report to your masters. Some of the slaves have broken free. We are putting this out live through my phone and other people's phones who are standing behind me. This is going out live on the internet. The more yellow uniforms and riot gear masks you put in front of our cameras, the more people are going to climb into this smoking, and we're going all the way. You better take some hand response on me, mate, or you've got a revolution on your hands. Now, you see, this is the difficulty that I've got. I'm willing to go for it, but I'm not willing to destroy the rest of the life of the license holder of the old England. No, I like him, and I'm sure he likes me and marijuana, but I have nothing left to lose. That's why I'm ready to go for it. I'm ready to tell the police very loudly to take it back to where it came from and stick it right up their ass. You can tell Mr. Cameron personally from me that I have no respect for him as a leader or as a human being. None. I don't wish to follow anything he says. I want to get a new legal system in this country whereby my voice has an equal value to David Cameron's. Who's with me? See, what we really need is somebody with money, because we can bash in and squat a big, tasteful building and make it happen without embarrassing any landlord or license holder. Do you get my drift? Is there anybody out there? I hope I haven't insulted you. I've missed all the important stuff. I'm still up for a revolution. If not, if you're noticing this little 55-minute nugget after I'm dead, wow, I haven't even started on what I was going to say when I switched on the camera. Oh dear. Marijuana's good. Tell the truth. Be courageous. Get a good friend. One good friend could put me back up on top of the system, because the system made me kill my brother, man, and I've regretted it ever since. I need a brother or a sister. My long-term dream Ciao.